Yo, what up? Think about it. The NBA Finals tonight, Milwaukee Bucks on ABC. Then, of course, on First Take, we got Patrick Mahomes live with us. First Take is now.
It's been 28 years since the Suns made a finals appearance. For the Bucks, 47 years, and their franchise player returns tonight.
Heaven now on earth, $500,000 on the watch. 3 bands on the sweater just to let it watch.
Fires up a three. It's good. And the foul. Chris Paul has taken control of game 1.
You can send it Bitcoin down to dribble it with stock.
Paul on the drive. Count it and one. Chris Paul's first finals game has been a brilliant performance.
Good morning and welcome to First Take. I'm Roz Goldon-Woode. I'm here with Keyshawn Johnson. We have Alan Hahn here. What's up, fellas? How you doing this morning?
How you doing?
We are great.
I know you finished 4 hours of radio.
4 hours of radio.
Came over.
Dressed for success.
Yeah, Stephen A will be mad at us, but that's okay.
Hey,
Didn't know Ronnie Lott was coming on the show, but that's good to have him as
Only jersey I'm going to wear, man. That's it.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, y'all been putting in the work. All right, I just got here, so I'm going to try to catch up. All right, let's get to it because hoop fans, we have endured through a basketball-less evening yesterday, but tonight, the NBA Finals are back for Game 2. Rejoice. Suns come off of a dominant win in Game 1, led by a third-quarter explosion from Chris Paul, in which he scored 16 of his 32 points and also finished the games with 9 assists. Now, while the Bucks caught the L, it was a good sign to see Giannis Antetokounmpo pour in 20 points and 17 rebounds after missing 2 games with a scary knee hyperextension. We heard from both team superstars heading into tonight's matchup.
Our team is built a little different. We have a real team, like a team where you can't just key on one guy or 2 guys. Everybody on our team is capable of having a big game, and everybody is comfortable and accept their roles.
I felt good. I was out there, so felt good. Tried to, help my team in any way possible. But going to Game 2, can't predict the future. Hopefully we can put ourselves in a position to win.
All right, so Keyshawn, I'll start with you. Winning a ring is more important to which player's legacy? Would you say it's Chris Paul, or would you say that ring's more important for Giannis's legacy?
I think it's more important for, if you want to talk legacy, Chris Paul. And the reason is because of the butt. Everything we talk about with Chris Paul, we talk about how much of a leader he is, leadership abilities, the teams that he's played on, getting in and out of the playoffs, getting bounced in certain rounds. All of that. First ballot Hall of Famer, no question about it. Top 5 point guard of all times. Probably no question about that either. But you see what I just did? It's always going to be a but. But he didn't win one. But he didn't win one. It's so important. He's so close right now, one up on the situation. You can point to a lot. You can point to Giannis, but Giannis is still young. Giannis has time, a lot of time, to go and win a championship. Chris Paul in Phoenix right now, the West is only going to get stronger next year. It's only going to get better. Golden State, Klay Thompson, Denver getting their guys back, Utah staying healthy, the Clippers staying healthy. You start to look at it, and the Phoenix Suns are right there. They're right there, so why not cash in now? And that box is checked. There's no question about it. It is Chris Paul.
Chris Paul will be in the Hall of Fame. Whatever happens in these finals have no bearing, have no say on that. He'll be in Springfield. It's already been established. It's already done. Winning the championship, cherry on top. A ring maybe obviously that a lot of players love to have because it does give you that little bit of extra cachet that puts you in a different conversation. But he's still going to the Hall of Fame. Giannis has won 2 MVPs, and yet he goes to a free throw line on the road, and he's mocked. There are a lot of people that watch him and look at his game and think, he's a guy that's really great at this game, but he's lacking one fundamental skill. And that's one of the most important skills in the game, which is shooting the basketball from anywhere outside of 8 feet. He is a great player who needs something to establish himself as an all-time great. A championship, leading a team to one, would certainly do it. So for him, this is the opportunity. And why is it now? You say he's young. Sure he is. But so is the rest of the East. And so is, and to me, the opportunity is now. In this situation, the window's open and available to him. Because if they don't win, there could be changes. There could be changes at coach. There could be changes on the roster. But we already know There'll be changes in the East because Brooklyn, well, they're not going anywhere. Philadelphia, they are there and they want to get better. And then, of course, there's the Boston Celtics, who realize that finishing 7th is not good enough, and they will be better. So if there's an opportunity to win, it's now, and he's got to do it because this might be his only chance. And if he doesn't get a ring, sure, 2 MVPs are nice, but I don't think he's got that same kind of respect as most MVPs do.
Here's what I would say against that, though, Allen, is one, Chris Paul isn't getting any younger. We don't know if he's coming back to Phoenix or moving on in free agency. We have no idea whatsoever. The West is loaded and going to only get stronger. The East, there's a handful of teams that you can talk about, and you just mentioned them. The Philadelphia 76ers, Boston, Brooklyn, obviously, maybe the Knicks, Atlanta in there you throw in, and then the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee's been at the top of the leaderboard pretty much every single year that Giannis has been in the NBA. When you think about it, he has time. Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns, there is no time. That's the only thing in Chris Paul's career that you check the box. Of course he's going into the Hall of Fame. There's no question about the Hall of Fame. But I can tell you this for sure. Going behind the velvet rope, standing at the club, trying to get in, and everybody walking up that have rings, and they tell Chris Paul, well, you can't come in right now. Why can't I come in? I'm a Hall of Famer. Well, you don't have a ring. Robert Horry just walked past you, man. He got 5 rings. That is the way players think. Hall of Fame is great. Players in professional sports, they want the championship no matter what. You ask anybody, they will trade in their Hall of Fame credentials to get a ring. And anybody that says that it's not true is a damn lie.
All right, well, I'm going to tell a damn lie then, because that is not true. Because if you're in the Hall of Fame, you're among the elite who ever play the game, whether you have a ring or not. And that's the velvet rope.
Why do you play the game, Allen? You play the game to get a ring. You don't play the game to get in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame comes after.
Yes.
If you get in the Hall of Fame, great.
But
if you are a key component to winning a championship, you take that all day long. If you are Chris Paul, a championship, you get Chris Paul on this after he win a championship and ask him on this show or our show and ask him, what would he rather have? A damn NBA championship ring or the Hall of Fame?
Okay, great. But it's not over for him yet because he'll go to your Lakers if he doesn't win with the Suns this year.
Allen, real quick, just to piggyback off of Key's point here, like he's pointing out that Giannis has time still. In your opinion, do you think if Chris Paul and the Suns don't get it this season, the championship, how likely is it to see him back in a finals again? Like, do you think that?
As I mentioned, LA is his home and LeBron is a close friend. And if he's still trying to get that ring, there is great opportunity for a team that, as we know, your Lakers could really use some point guard leadership. They were missing that, along with, of course, health. What an addition he would be. And would he do it? Why not?
Spicy. Let's not speculate because we still have game 2 tonight. So let's focus on it. Game 2 tonight. Who do you think is going to be the most important player in tonight's game 2 between the Bucks and the Suns?
I think it's Giannis. It has to be Giannis, even though he has a knee issue going on. When you think about it, he gave you 20 points on a bad knee, on a bad will. The Milwaukee Bucks don't have what the Phoenix Suns have in Chris Paul, a true leader, somebody who knows what to do in crucial situations. But Giannis can grow into that role. He has to make his free throws, no question about it. He has to block out the noise on the road, no question about it. But for them to be able to win this championship, or even better yet, win game 2, he has to step up to the plate. I think he'll be much better than he was in game 1 because the injury, obviously, the rehabbing, the medicine that he's taking, all the different things that he's getting attention to on that knee certainly will come to fruition in game 2. So he's the most important person to me because without him on the floor, this is a totally different team on the road.
Most important player for the Bucks is not Giannis because you know what you're getting from him. The most important player for the Bucks is a guy that they need to keep out on the floor, but some people are saying he can't be out there. That's Brook Lopez. What we saw to Brook Lopez to close out the series against the Hawks was defense and low post scoring, which is a great thing to have this late in the season. We know he can do both. But in pick and roll defense, he and Bobby Portis have been exploited in game 1. And now they've got to make that adjustment. But if they take him off the floor, you lose rebounding, you lose rim protection, and you lose offense. Something that the Bucks cannot afford to lose. What they need is the Brook Lopez who finished the series. against the Atlanta Hawks. They need that guy. They need to figure out how to get him back playing that way while also keeping him on the floor, protecting him defensively. You know what that means? Stop switching. It doesn't make sense. In those situations, you can switch 1 through 3, maybe even 1 through 4. But you can't have Brook Lopez on an island. You can't have Bobby Portis on an island with Chris Paul licking his chops, backing up. Let me set you up. Let me get this guy one-on-one. Too much ISO. So this is not going to be about, this is about offense, yes, because if you take Brook Lopez off the floor, it will hurt you. But if you leave him on the floor, it can't hurt you defensively. That's not on Brook Lopez. That is on the coaching. That is on the scheme. They've got to figure out a way to keep him on the floor because he can help you. He'll be important in game 2.
You gave me a whole lot of butts, though, Alan. You gave me he's at this and he can't switch on that and he can't. So why is he even
on the coaching?
So why is he even on the floor? You're
because
telling me the defense is a problem and a liability. You're telling me about offense when Giannis healthy is giving you 30 walking blind. Hey, at the end, Giannis is always a 30-piece walking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All day long.
And had that work out in the games he missed.
And then Middleton closes the thing out for you. When you think about Brook Lopez being on the floor and he's supposed to help you out on the defensive side, yes, it's a liability. So why would I have him on the floor when I know I got a reigning defensive player of the year on the floor, a guy who's long, who can make shots inside, bully ball on the offensive end. I'm going to get 30-plus from him when he's healthy, and I believe that he'll be 100% healthy based on what he did in Game 1 and the way he looked in Game 1. Carry that over to Game 2. There's no way in hell I want Brook Lopez out there full time. Not even close, Alan. It's not even close.
Really? So then you missed the end of the Hawks series where he was such an important player
the
because Giannis was compromised.
It was the Hawks. They play a different style than the Phoenix Suns.
They pick and roll. They do the exact same thing. You still need that. And oh, by the way, DeAndre Ayton was dominating on the board. So
and then you tell me about him on the board. You mentioned that, and I didn't even get into DeAndre Ayton, who had 20 boards.
Yep.
Okay, so what do you mean he's cleaning the glass? He's not cleaning the glass. DeAndre Ayton's cleaning the glass.
I apologize, everyone. Key was on vacation, so I don't think I'll have to catch him up on what happened in Game 1.
All right, guys. You know, I'm expecting a lot of attention and focus on Chris Paul coming into this game too. So maybe we keep an eye on what Cameron Payne can do in some spurts on the court out there, and we'll be trying to figure out what's happening with Brook Lopez against the pick and roll and what the Bucks are doing as well. But what do you guys think? Who else could be an X factor defensively? What can they do to stop Chris Paul in the pick and roll?
I feel like Mike Budenholzer is actually an X factor here because, you know, I mean, I'll say it, that the adjustments that he's made in the playoffs weren't adjustments he made. It's adjustments made by the other team, which is injuries happened. Kyrie Irving went out. They were getting smoked in the first 2 games of that series. He went out. Series changed to their favor. Trae Young, they couldn't stop him. He got hurt. Series changed to their favor. I don't want to see anybody else get hurt. We've had enough all-stars get hurt in the playoffs. So if nothing happens and it stays the same, all right, Mike Budenholzer, you've got to fix whatever's going on with that defense, make the adjustments. So I do think he's an X factor.
I would say Drew Holiday's got to figure out when they switching, is it Booker or is it Chris Paul? You know both of them got the mid-range elbow jumpers coming down. So if you can get in the face of them and harass them and pressure them, then I think that is going to be an X factor defensively for Milwaukee. Outside of that, I mean, they got 3 players that right now are cooking, and that would be Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton. You got to pick your poison. You can't take all 3 out.
Yeah, a lot of the time on Chris Paul, they went big, right? So you had PJ Tucker on him. Then when they switched, you've got Lopez being exposed, Connaughton, Portis at times. Do you think the option here is to go small and not switch perhaps and start with a Drew Holiday who said, I've got to be more aggressive. I've got to be more assertive against Chris Paul to start.
And that means get over the screens. You know, this idea of switching is nice during the regular season because you don't wear down your guys. Now everybody wants to fight over screens all the time, and that can weigh you out. But in a playoff series now, it's basically all for everything right now for a championship. I don't know if switching all 5 makes sense. And when you're Chris Paul and you're really smart and you know, okay, this is what they're doing, great. Who's all right? Bobby Portis is guarding you. You're setting the screen because they're going to switch because that's what they're supposed to do. It's so robotic. It's so predictable. And now I've got Bobby Portis in a one-on-one. Everybody's get out of the way. And I'm playing one-on-one against Bobby Portis, who, God love him, he can't guard guards. You can't. Especially a guy like Chris Paul who can get into mid-range, get the shot he wants. They've got to get away from that concept. Don't be so stubborn and make sure it's the right thing. And that, like when Drew's saying that, that's him suggesting, Key, I've got to fight over screens. I can't just surrender in screens and just go ahead. We're going to switch. No, we've got to keep them guessing on when I'm going to go over and when I'm not.
It's only game 1, too. Let's not get caught up in it. 89% of the time, if you down 2-0, you go home without the trophy. But it's only game 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's only game 1. So we'll see if Budenholzer and the rest of the Milwaukee Bucks make the necessary adjustments.
And in defense of my fellow Stanford grad, Brooke Lopez, I mean, in the pick and roll when he was on Chris Paul, those shots were contested. He was there. Chris Paul hit tough shots. So whether it was drop, whether it was switch, whether it was be more aggressive, try to get the ball out of Chris Paul's hands, Chris Paul was the one who was in control. So back to your point, I think it might be Coach Bud.
See, and again, of course, Roz agrees with me that Brooke Lopez is a factor here. There's one win. Good.
Well, I got, one point for Allen. But I guess so all eyes are
and then
going.
watch Giannis go for 50 tonight and they win.
Ooh, are you calling that?
And I'll remind you tomorrow.
You calling that? Okay, we'll remember that too.
Remind me tomorrow. Shocking you'd remind me.
All eyes will certainly be on the pick and roll adjustments of Coach Bud and the Bucks. And of course, all eyes are also on that other team in Wisconsin too. Will Aaron Rodgers be back in a Packers jersey?
Beautiful.
Once the season kicks off in 2 months? Keyshawn's answer next. Plus, speaking of all-world quarterbacks, guess who will be live on First Take in just a bit? Ever heard of this Patrick Mahomes guy? That's right. The Chiefs superstar joins the show. Keep it locked.
Don't start twisting my words. See, that's why I don't like to do interviews.
Shut your up.
Who scheduled this game?
I got a hell of a reputation, don't I?
I wasn't picked here to be put on the back burner.
They can't cover me. They can't cover me.
Put up awesome numbers, won a Super Bowl ring. What more can you ask for?
All that screaming.
What can you do? I mean, there's nothing you can do. You can't do anything. There's nothing. We can't do. We couldn't throw. We throwing interceptions. Man.
On Tuesday at the match, Rodgers was asked if he will be playing for the Packers this season. He didn't give people much to work with when he said, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see, won't we? All right, so right now we welcome in Marcus Spears. He joins us. And hey, Marcus, how are you?
What's up, Roz? How you living?
I'm living good. I like the good vibes only sign, bringing that to the morning. I'll start with you, Han.
Absolutely.
Will Rodgers play in Green Bay in 2021?
I think he will. And in fact, what you said there, when you said, that he didn't give us much, I think he gives us a lot. I think it's the matter of how you interpret it, the little breadcrumbs he puts out there. I mean, this is petty. This is like Richard Petty, the king of all petty. Like, he is going to that extreme where he just leaves little passive-aggressive comments out there, making it clear to guys like Tom Brady, even, Brian Anderson of Turner and others. Yeah, we could talk about it. Yeah, we could joke about it because it's funny. And I like watching how everybody reacts to all the little things that I say about this whole situation. But in the end, while it does look like he's Angela Bassett and waiting to exhale, as the Mercedes burns behind her walking away, the Packers being, of course, the Mercedes burning.
I like that reference.
He is really a guy that does want to get back in that Mercedes or get back in that house eventually because he's a competitor. He's the best at what he does. And he's got a team that, despite all the complaints about what's around him, was good enough to be that close to the Super Bowl. In fact, they probably would have won the Super Bowl if they got there knowing that Kansas City was compromised with that offensive line. So does he really want to just take an entire year and walk away and eventually only thing they're talking about is instead of just saying, go Pack, they're saying, hey, Aaron, go Pack. We're done with you. In Green Bay, that's your legacy that you're leaving there? I'm not sure he's willing to wait a whole season, but I love the way he's playing this. Make him squirm, make him burn, make him beg you to come back.
No, he's done in Green Bay. We will not see him in a Green Bay Packer uniform. After that championship game, that was the last time that Aaron Rodgers will put that Green Bay uniform on. And I say this because when you think about it, he hasn't been there all offseason. We're about 2 weeks away, 13 days, I believe, from the start of a first training camp. So he hasn't been throwing with his receivers. He's been on basically a tour of having fun, whether it's in Hawaii, playing golf, relaxing with his girlfriend, just enjoying life. And on top of that, the people that he really have a problem with inside that building, they're not going anywhere. They're not going to all of a sudden be abruptly fired in the next couple weeks so that Aaron Rodgers can get his way. And quite frankly, Aaron Rodgers doesn't care. Aaron Rodgers said, agent is David Dunn. You know who David Dunn represented prior to that? Carson Palmer. And what did Carson Palmer do? He set out, he eventually got traded. And I know people think about the money aspect of it. Aaron Rodgers don't care about the money right now. All Aaron Rodgers care about is being right. Watching the Green Bay Packers explode, basically, hitting the detonator, because I didn't get what I asked you for a long time ago. So flying in on private jets, telling me how much you want me, oh my God, please come play for us, we love you, all of those sort of things. And then on top of that, you leaving breadcrumbs, talking negative in front of people about me, saying little slick remarks about me. All that sort of stuff is in the back of his mind, no matter what anybody says. And then for the last caveat, Marcus Spears knows this. We know who's behind us. We know the players that back us up and what they look like. And he knows that Jordan Love is not ready to play, and he's seen Blake Bortles a million times. So what is it that he wants? He wants it to crumble completely. So go ahead and play one of those two quarterbacks while I just sit and laugh until y'all decide to trade me.
No doubt, Key, I'm with you. And I see Hans still on that wishful thinking list with everybody else. They've been wishful thinking for the last 2 years. I said this a year ago, that Aaron Rodgers would want to exit Green Bay. Number one, because of the disrespect that they've shown him. And I agree. Look, I'm not in that same class of people that think the Green Bay Packers have done everything absolutely wrong. They've ended up in the NFC Championship 3 other times outside of winning the Super Bowl. They built a nice team. When the defense needed to be addressed, they addressed the defense. But there comes a point in every one of these guys' careers, especially the great ones, where we don't like to think about, well, I don't know if they're going to leave the team they've been playing for. Green Bay has firsthand experience with that, with Brett Favre. And I know that was a different situation, but nobody believed that Brett Favre would play quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings or the New York Jets. Nobody thought that that would happen. We all figured, the wishful thinkers were like, he'll figure it out in Green Bay and Brett Favre relationship, and they've been there together for so long, it'll work out. But they had Aaron Rodgers waiting in the wings. They didn't know what Aaron Rodgers was, but they knew they drafted a quarterback in the first round. And then you think about both sides, right? Because, look, we've talked about Aaron Rodgers and how bad Green Bay has disrespected Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is at the point now where he's disrespected Green Bay, because they are trying to plan and go forward with a season, not knowing if the best quarterback in the NFL is going to come back and play for them, who's been absent in a lot of important things when you're trying to go for a Super Bowl. I keep hearing everybody with these optimistic thoughts talk about, well, they're a Super Bowl team and they have a chance, and Aaron Rodgers understand that. Y'all don't think Aaron Rodgers understood that before he started this damn drama and this saga that we watching right now? We keep acting like this is brand new. This is not new. Aaron Rodgers knows everything that Alan Hahn and all of the optimists are saying about him coming back to Green Bay. I don't believe it's happening. I've been saying it for a long time, so I'm with you, Key. And Alan, I hate for the first time for us to be on TV together, we got to go back and forth, and I got to fight you. But this optimism, I legitimately don't know where it comes from, unless y'all want to continue to be on this roller coaster with Aaron Rodgers, with the breadcrumbs and the vague saying and all of that. What I do know is, from a physical presence, Aaron Rodgers has not had anything to do with the Green Bay Packers, and the Green Bay Packers seemingly have been begging for him to come back, and ain't a damn thing changed.
Swagoo, if I could quote Jerry Maguire, you say we're fighting, I say we're finally talking, because this is something we have to discuss. You mentioned emotion. You mentioned things like, I hope. You got me. Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm the optimist. I always want to believe that something good's going to come out of this. But hope is an emotion. You know what else is an emotion? Spite. And Aaron Rodgers is really good at that. You know what else is an emotion? Love.
Good point.
And Aaron Rodgers loves football, but he loves him some him. And he loves to be the guy that is MVP. He loves to be the guy that's the best on the field. He loves to be that, if I can quote a guy from this show, a bad man. And that's what he likes to be, loves to be. And when we get to October and the Packers are 0-5 and Jordan Love looks exactly like we all expect Jordan Love to look like, and the Packers fans are screaming and crying and blaming it all, and Mark Murphy and everybody else doing their own hey, well, we do have a QB1. He's just not here. So we got to play this guy. that kind of stuff is going to start creeping in, which is why I feel like the play is to take this all the way to the end, make him squirm to the end, and then show up, be the conquering hero, and say, okay, now that you know, don't pull this crap again with me. Do what I say, involve me in decisions, or else I'm walking when this contract is over, and then you really got to deal with what's left after I'm gone.
Okay, you make a great point about emotion, right? And let's take this into the relationship element. Hon, if you were going through something with your significant other and y'all were having conversations, but you were sleeping downstairs on the couch, or she put you on the sofa, eventually you think you're going to make your way back to the bed, right? And things are going to be fixed. But when they leave the house and they don't show up night after night after night, what message should you take? That's what Aaron Rodgers has done. Aaron Rodgers ain't showed up to OTAs. He ain't showed up to minicamp. And guys like you keep talking about a Super Bowl run, and he's not preparing for it. So unless you're giving him the benefit of the doubt that he gonna show up, which from a playing standpoint, I agree. He can show up and be as good as any other quarterback. But I remember 2 years ago, a lot of NFL pundits, a lot of QB gurus getting on here saying Aaron Rodgers don't look like himself. It looks like the Green Bay Packers made the right decision taking a quarterback. And then he comes back and follow that up by an MVP season. So for me, when you talk about emotion and spite and optimism, I agree. I live on those principles too until you show me your actions. You're not going to keep not showing up at home, making me wonder where you are, and we going to continue this relationship. So look, for all of the guys out there or all of the ladies that continues to have this optimism, if your people ain't coming home at night and they keep telling you they don't want to come home, at some point you need to take a clue and start looking for another beau or another lady, or figure out how you're going to do this by yourself.
Go ahead. I want you to read that for Alan Hahn.
He's singing Tony Braxton to me now.
Keyshawn just passed me a meme. It says, creating relationship drama is all fun and games until he actually decides to move on.
Yes, that would be correct, Alan Hahn. And so when you think about it, all the drama that the Green Bay Packers have created, starting with Jordan Love to this point where we are now, that man done checked out. Yes, he would love to win another Super Bowl for the Green Bay Packers. But guess what? As I said before, Alan, Murphy's not leaving. Brian Gutekunst isn't going anywhere. They're still in the building. You know, as covering the New York Jets and being on the sideline and training camp and practices, who's standing there? The general managers and the presidents, every single practice, every single game they're in the locker room. And you mean to tell me that Aaron Rodgers want to see their face? They're not going to all of a sudden just disappear. They're going to be there evaluating players. Imagine that. You got to walk past Aaron Rodgers every single day, vice versa. That's not what he wants. He wants to be gone somewhere like Denver, for instance, where he has an opportunity to play against Patrick Mahomes, who's actually going to be joining us live on this show here in a little bit.
Nicely done.
So when you think about those sort of things, it's perfect for him. Again, I'll say it again. He knows who Jordan Love is. He's seen Jordan Love in practice. He wishes well for Jordan Love. But he also knows that the Green Bay Packers have a long way to go to get to where he put them in the NFC Championship game a year ago or 2 years ago. It's just what it is, man. I understand the wishful thinking, huh? Stop thinking like a reporter and start thinking like an athlete.
I will leave it as this. You know, I always care most about the cheeseheads, the fans, the ones that are affected. And the only message I would have then is to stay together for the kids. Feel bad for the fans. They're torn up. But that's all I got. That's all I got.
It's for the kids, man. It's for the kids. I get it, man, and you're supposed to have that train of thought. But the bottom line is, when you look at everything in totality, I'm right there along with Key, man. Like, you could play a game and you could be disgruntled. Like, take Russell Wilson, for instance. We heard some comments from Russ, and, you know, people start speculating whether he would be out. Trade partners came about, and Russ, that was dispelled. And Russ came up during an interview with Pete Carroll and said, look, we love each other. As fake as it was, he's still there. This is a different animal, man. And look, I would think, this is my thought, right? Because Aaron Rodgers has shown over the years to be a guy that's like he's introverted, but he also will be a guy that's willing to open up and willing to talk about things. He hasn't been afraid to say anything. I think in this last year and a half or so, he's kind of been delicate with his words, which I don't like that version of Aaron Rodgers. The Aaron Rodgers I knew previous to that would just come out and say it and say what he wanted to say and what it is. But when I'm looking at all of this stuff fold and play out, this seems like a guy that is way more than just football. That's number one. And then number two, he knows everything that all of us have been saying, that Green Bay has a good roster and Green Bay has players and they need to figure out what they're going to do with Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers has been the guy to not show up to anything.
All right, guys. Well, in Aaron Rodgers' defense, I will say this. Last year, he showed he's not running out of steam. He set career highs in touchdown passes,
still balling.
Total quarterback rating, completion percentage last season. And I feel like, plus the 2020 MVP. So he's looking at everybody like this. I know who I am. I'm Aaron Rodgers. All right, let's take a break. Swagoo, you'll stay with us, right? Jalen Hurts now has the reins in Philly while Carson Wentz is feeling good in Indy. The question is, who would Keyshawn rather have as his quarterback? Plus, Giannis looked incredible Game 1, despite Milwaukee taking the loss. Should the Bucks be more concerned about his health or their head coach? Stay tuned.
The wait for one of the biggest cards of the new year ends here. Oh my God! Knocked out for Poirier! Dustin Poirier has knocked out Conor McGregor!
What happened in the octagon in January?
There was a lot of free things given. There was weight on the scales given. There were shots in the octagon given. There was plugs and support given. There's nothing free given this time. Everything is getting took, and that's the mindset here.
Is that why you lost?
Yeah, I would say so. There's a few things. I pitied the man, to be honest with you. I was looking past him. I had a Manny Pacquiao camp in place. Another thing, I've not brought my family with me this time. It's hard to go face to face and want to tear through a man and then hold your son or your daughter. When I would have rest day around my family, it's not really a rest day. I'm playing with the kids, I'm busy. My rest days have been true rest days. So then when I go again for my next round of work, I'm energized, I'm refreshed.
Last question, win by KO or just the win? Saturday night.
KO, out on a stretcher, this man is going.
Come on and catch me now.
This time last year, things in Philly looked much different. Doug Peterson was entering his 5th season as the head coach of the Eagles and had made 3 straight playoff appearances. They won 4 games last season and he was fired in January. Carson Wentz was also entering his 5th season for the Eagles. He led the league in sacks and lost his starting job in Week 14 to Jalen Hurts. Wentz was traded to Indy in March. And as we stand today, Hurts is in position to take the reins of the starting job with new head coach Nick Sirianni. Doug Peterson recently addressed the drafting of Jalen Hurts by saying, "We continue to look for quarterbacks, and that's always something that will never change. We won a Super Bowl with our backup quarterback, and we've had to play with our backups a couple of times in Philadelphia. So we did that a year ago and brought in Jalen Hurts, not to undermine Carson Wentz, not to do anything to take away his job or anything, because Carson Wentz was our starter." All right, we're going to welcome back Swagoo. Okay. Carson Wentz, he obviously did not react well to the drafting of Jalen Hurts. He posted his worst career numbers statistically, but he's looking to turn it around in Indy. So, Keyshawn, would you rather have Wentz or Hurts?
I'd rather have Carson Wentz, no question about it. I think Jalen Hurts has a long way to go, and he probably will be a terrific quarterback in Philadelphia. But whether it's in Philadelphia or Indy, where Carson Wentz is, I know the body of work. I understand what Carson Wentz has done in this league. Yes, last year was not great. 15, what did he have? He had 16 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. No, I don't want that at all. But if you look at the years before that, the only problem that you have with Carson Wentz is staying healthy. Can he stay healthy? Unfortunately, out against the Los Angeles Rams, he tore his ACL. They went on to win the Super Bowl. He came back. He had a terrific campaign in 18. Not a bad campaign in 19. 2020 didn't go well, and I agree with Doug Peterson. You are always looking to upgrade the backup quarterback position. Jalen Hurts was there. It didn't go well. You drafted him, so you said, I'll tell you what, let's give him an opportunity because clearly Carson Wentz's head was not on right. He was seeing ghosts, whatever you want to call it. It was problematic in Philadelphia, both on and off the field. A change of scenery is going to work out for him in Indy with Frank Reich. Clearly, he missed that relationship with Frank Reich. Now he has the relationship again in Indianapolis for the Colts, a team that's primed to make a strong playoff run. If you think about the aging Phillip Rivers, he was in a dogfight in Buffalo last year in the playoffs. Phillip Rivers, as old as he was, and you don't think if you can insert Carson Wentz into the same lineup, no major changes for this football team, with a coach that he loves, that understands him, the same page, that he can't get them past the Buffalo Bills or at least into a deep run into the playoffs? Because I believe so. I would certainly think that Carson Wentz is going to change a lot of people's minds this year in Indianapolis. And I know a lot of people look at what went on in Philadelphia and they say this guy's done. He's a problem in the locker room. He's a head case. We don't want to deal with a guy that thinks this way. Change of scenery goes a long way for a lot of players in professional sports.
Damn it, Key, we were 1 for 1. Man, I thought we was going to agree on this one, too. I'm taking Jalen Hurts, bro. And listen, to your point, Carson Wentz is more talented than Jalen Hurts. He has more tools and ability when you think about playing the quarterback position. But you know who else he has more talent and tools as well? Dak Prescott. And we've had this conversation for years about who would you want, Carson Wentz or Dak Prescott? From a physical trait, from a physical ability standpoint, I'm taking Carson Wentz. But the mental makeup of a quarterback, Key, is paramount, especially when you start talking about guys that's going to have to go through some adversity. And the only reason I'm talking about taking Jalen Hurts over this is, one, because I've seen Jalen Hurts go through this process as Alabama, so maybe I'm a little bit too close to this. But I know his mental makeup. I know that he can go through things that are hard and go through trials and then overcome them. Like, people have been telling this kid he can't play quarterback for a long time. He was the freshman of the year at the University of Alabama. Job was taken over by Tua. Tua goes down. He has to come back in and perform at a high level. You think about what he did in Philly. Philly was not a great team. All of the things that were cast on Carson Wentz last year was not just Carson Wentz. They had trouble on the offensive line. They had trouble with the conversations between Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz. There's a lot of things. Weapons on the outside when it comes to receivers. A lot of things transpired. The one thing I didn't see Carson Wentz do is get on television or in interviews and take responsibility for the things that were going on, even if they weren't his fault. And I believe that's a trait that a lot of quarterbacks need to have. We just came off of a conversation with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers hadn't had all of the great things at his disposal, but he's made do. And I'm not comparing the football players. I'm comparing the mental makeup. Carson Wentz had to go with a guy, and obviously we all want to be around coaches we love and in systems that we think will be great for us. But sometimes that's not the case in the NFL. You may have to go through 1 or 2 years. I did not like how he responded to adversity. I did not like how he responded to Nick Foles being the guy that finished the Super Bowl run, even though during that regular season, Carson Wentz was magnificent. I had this conversation with Dan Orlovsky, and y'all know how much he loves Carson Wentz. Well, used to. Now it's Baker Mayfield. They best buddies now, and they doing their thing together. Yeah. But the bottom line is, man, when I think about Jalen Hurts versus Carson Wentz, I'm strictly going to the mental makeup of these guys. And I'm also going to the fact that I believe Jalen Hurts has that thing that gets guys to rally, galvanize, and follow behind him a little bit more than Carson Wentz does. Carson Wentz has to go fit in Indianapolis. I believe he's going to play well. That's already a playoff team. I believe he's one of the guys, if not the guy with the most pressure on him in the league, not to take away from what the Colts have done already, to your point with Phillip Rivers. But when we start having conversations about these two guys, I want a dude that's going to be standing in the mud with me, and I don't know that about Carson Wentz. I'm not saying he can't or he hasn't evolved to that, but I know Jalen Hurts going to stand in the mud with me when it's good or bad.
Marcus, just real quick, devil's advocate. When you talk about mental makeup here, you'd rather go with Jalen Hurts. He's played 1 season. How do you know who he is in the face
4 games.
Even better. How do you know who he is in the face of adversity?
Roz, I know Jalen Hurts is not going to check out, and that's why I prefaced it by saying watching this dude in college. Like, that's the biggest sample size that we have. If you go back and look at quarterbacks and athletes in college, there was none that went through what Jalen Hurts was pulled during a national championship. And Tua came in, and then go ahead, Keith.
No, I was going to say that's true, Marcus. He has the makeup, the mental makeup based on his college resume. No question about it.
Yeah.
But don't you give some credit to change of scenery? When things go so bad, you can be a bad player, a bad person in a certain situation. And when you leave that situation, all of a sudden, it's different. People treat you different. They talk to you different. You feel different. That's why I feel like in terms of which quarterback, I'd rather have Carson Wentz because I think the change of scenery, you're going to get the 2017, 18, 19 Carson Wentz. And if you don't, then he don't belong in the league. That's just it.
And which is, if I could jump in here, which to me is a guy that was once 11-2 and an MVP candidate and a legit one before the ACL. That's a guy I can rally around. Meanwhile, I'll say this, get the oven mitts on. Jalen Hurts wasn't drafted to be a starter. They never expected him to. How long did it take Doug Peterson to finally commit to it? He didn't really want to because he knew what he had. Yeah, I'm a big Alabama fan, so I watched his career. So you're right. He was taken out of a championship game and was a great teammate, absolutely great teammate, said all the right things after the fact. But he still was taken out of a national championship game because one of the best coaches ever said, I can't win with this guy. I got to change it up. So he did. He is what he is. A guy that you certainly would love to have as a teammate, no doubt about it. I want him in the foxhole with me because of his toughness and everything about it. But when it comes to who do I want as my quarterback, I want the guy that had me at 11-2, the guy that had me, or that was an MVP candidate, because I can rally around talent. And I know that when he started having his issues, that was a personnel problem. That was guys around him that he's like, I can't trust it. I'm not about to get my clock cleaned right now. Because he got hit a lot with that offensive line getting old and breaking down. He didn't trust anything happening in front of him. He's in Indianapolis. He has a fresh start and a coach who believes in him. It allows him to go back to being that guy in 2017 that we saw.
I think it's important to note, fellas, and listen, we all know the game of football, and I understand absolutely what you guys are saying, man. But when I look at this situation, I'm not looking at it from comparing everybody around the league. Dallas went through the same exact thing. They went through the same thing. And obviously people around you and the team around you is going to impact a lot of that performance. I remember watching Jalen Hurts in that first game against the Saints saying, damn, he got something. He can play in this league. Obviously, you got to surround him with talent like any other quarterback. Dak Prescott was drafted in the 4th round. They never planned on him seeing the field. And Tony Romo back went out. And all of the talk about Dak Prescott was he was raw. He wasn't ready. He didn't have all you needed to have to be a starter in this league. And I'm not saying Dak is the greatest thing since sliced bread, but we all in agreement, I believe, that you can win with Dak Prescott if you put him in the right situation and have the right guys around him. I think that for Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz is going to have to prove to me that adversity can hit, he can answer the bell and fight through it. That's why right now I'm taking Jalen Hurts because I've seen him fight through that already.
So, you said with the right pieces around him, he certainly can win. I'd take Dak Prescott over either one of them. There's no question about it because I believe Dak Prescott is a better quarterback, both mentally and physically, than both of those dudes. I don't give a damn what nobody say. But in the end, Jalen Hurts hasn't given me enough body of work. You talk about winning. Carson Wentz showed us he can win. 11-2, MVP of potential MVP of the league. You know, all pro caliber player, Pro Bowl player. So he's given us enough to say to ourselves, I think we can win with him with everything around him. Jalen Hurts is yet to do that because he's still young.
Keyshawn, to your earlier point, too, Wentz might actually benefit from a change of scenery. In Indy, he will be reuniting with his former offensive coordinator.
My former teammate, too.
Yep, Frank Reich. And he threw 33 touchdowns with him as offensive coordinator in 2017. All right, thank you, Marcus, for joining us.
We end up in the same place with both of these guys, hope. We hope both of them can
Keep
get
hope
going.
alive. All right, guys, we're going to talk some hoops after the break with game two just hours away. We're wondering if the Bucks, after a scary knee hyperextension caused a 2-game absence, Giannis Antetokounmpo looked mobile in game 1 of the NBA Finals. He dropped 20 points, 17 rebounds. So, to me, the riddle for the Bucks was less about Giannis's health and more about how to cover Chris Paul in the pick and roll. To drop or not to drop? To switch or not to switch? Do we trap? Do we stay big on Chris Paul or do we go small? Game 1 had the Bucks looking puzzled, and it was Chris Paul with all the answers. Our very own Stephen A. Smith let us know how he really felt about the Bucks' dilemma.
It is mind-boggling to me how I don't want to be insulting, but absolutely clueless the Milwaukee Bucks appeared last night in being prepared for this game. You know that CP3 and Devin Booker, you know what they're going to give to you, particularly when they're hitting their perimeter shots. But a guy like CP3 is literally picking defenders. Who am I going to pick on next?
Right.
And absolutely, positively no adjustment was made whatsoever, and that's why he looked so spectacular.
All right, Keyshawn, we heard it from Stephen A. Smith. A lot of power, passion there.
Always.
From Stephen A. All right, well, I'll start with you here. What's the bigger issue for the Bucks? Is it Giannis's knee or is it their head coach?
I think it's Giannis's knee. Not only on the offensive end, but you're talking about a defensive player who could get around certain screens, could move a certain way laterally. But when you have knee problems like that, you cannot focus on both ends of the floor. You can only focus on one end of the floor. Not only do you tire yourself out, but you also have soreness. So I think when you talk about the adjustments that need to be made, try adjusting by getting that knee healthy, by rehabbing, treatment, things of that nature. So in game 2, you can do what needs to be done so you can help your team out. So I think for him, that's the most important thing. High screens, he can get up and get across and get in front. Those are the sort of things. And then on the offensive end, we know what he can do. Yeah, he only scored 20 points, but he is a walking 30 all day long. That helps this team score points, put them in position where Middleton can close them out. When Giannis is cooking, the rest of the team is cooking. When Giannis isn't feeling good, they're not feeling good. So I believe that that's the real issue and not Coach Bud.
What a take there, Key. The star player, the MVP, is the important guy, the knee. And of course it is. You got 20 and 17, of course, in that game 1, whether or not that knee was 100% or 70%. He certainly looked like a guy that in the first half was back to being the player we know he can be. Second half, maybe conditioning kicked in. And as you know, Key, from yourself as an athlete, that's when you worry about re-injuring, is when you get tired. But the guy you're really watching, or the player or the person you're really watching in game 2, is Coach Mike Budenholzer. It is what adjustments he makes. It is how he gets Drew Holiday back engaged. After we saw when Giannis was out, Drew Holiday became a lot different of a guy, a lot more engaged, a lot more aggressive, a lot more attack, a lot more downhill. In fact, he even said, we play a little different without Giannis. We can play faster. And a guy like him doesn't have to worry, where is he? Got to get on the ball, stop and, don't get in his way. No, you get into attack mode. They need him to be that guy again. Also how to use Brook Lopez while you can keep him on the floor and yet protect defensively so you're not getting exploited like they were in the pick and roll. Mike Budenholzer has made more adjustments this year than he usually has in the past. Notoriously stubborn. And in this finals, he can't be. Key, you said it earlier. You lose game 2 and the Suns go up 2-0, 89% of the time, that team that goes up 2-0 goes on to win the series. This is not a must-win yet. But for Mike Budenholzer, this is a can't lose.
Mike Budenholzer is not the guy on the court. The players are the ones on the court. Yes, you can dial up X's and O's all day long, but the players have to execute them. And if you got Giannis out there and he's not 100% healthy, how in the hell am I going to help you? Yes, 20 points, 17 boards, but I'd rather have 17 boards and 35 points because I know when he contributes at that level, we win a whole lot of damn games.
To take a little bit of the pressure and focus off of Coach Bud, I will agree that Drew Holiday, it could start with him. Usually the tone is set with the point guard, and he's capable of doing it on both offense and defense. Look, 4 for 14 from the field. He did affect the game, though, with 9 assists, 7 rebounds, but he can assert himself more in that game. Guess who we have coming up next, y'all? Floor leader.
The best.
General. The best.
Froggy.
Talk about point guards.
Point guards,
Froggy.
quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes.
Best hair in the game?
Patrick Mahomes is joining us here.
And
we'll talk with whether or not he is over his Super Bowl loss to Tom Brady and the Bucks. We'll ask him ourselves. The Chiefs quarterback joins First Take Live.
There's a lot of ups and downs in this league. It's the everyday grind. It's the everyday process. At the same time, we have a long ways to go.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Biggest thing that I preach to myself is you never want to be satisfied with where you're at.
Patrick Mahomes joins us on behalf of the American Century Championships. Welcome to First Take. All right, let's jump right into it, Pat. It's hard to believe we're just 63 days away from the start of the season. So how do you feel this offseason went for you and also the team to get everyone geared up for a third straight Super Bowl appearance, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it went well. We brought in a lot of new faces, but we still have the same old ones that have been doing it. So we've kind of built this culture of trying to go out there and be great every single day. And I feel like we got a lot of young guys and guys around the league that have had success that are ready to go and ready to try to make another run at it.
Pat, as competitive as you are, how often do you replay last year's Super Bowl loss, just in your head on a daily basis, driving in the car to the stadium, wherever you might be?
I think I did a little bit more right after the game happened. At this point, I'm at the point where I'm ready to go for this next season. I think that's the best thing about this league is that you start from scratch every single year. And we have the team and the players to make a run at it. We just have to put in the work every single day.
That offensive line was rebuilt going into this season, but how much would you think? I mean, this is what I've said, and I wonder if you feel the same way. If your offensive line is healthy, you win that Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, man. You would hope that you go out there and play better, at least. I feel like we didn't put our best effort out there. But at the end of the day, that was a great football team, and they were better than us that day. And so now we have to find ways to make ourselves better so that when we get in that game again, we can come out on top.
Pat, another one of your quarterback colleagues, Aaron Rodgers. Now, I know you've done some State Farm commercials with him. Has he said anything to you about his situation or unhappiness in Green Bay, or what do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't said anything to me about that. Usually when we're shooting those things, we're just focused on that and kind of how our lives are going. Yeah, it's a weird situation. Great organization, a great football player, and they're not seeing eye to eye. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure that whatever happens, both Aaron and the Green Bay Packers will be just fine.
You're next.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
Oh, you didn't hear it?
No, hey,
That's
here we
right.
go.
I don't want to jump in. I got a million questions. If you want, I'll just keep going and
I
ask
didn't
you
hear
questions.
anything. So look, Pat, when you think about Eric Bieniemy and what he was quoted saying for the past few years that, have been through the interview cycle and basically not getting a job or an opportunity to really get a job, what do you say to Coach, about the opportunities that could potentially come his way in the near future?
Yeah, I think he has that mindset that even if he doesn't get a job that he thinks that he should have gotten, he's going to come into work every single day and he's going to grind. He's a true leader as a coach. I think that's the biggest thing. Every single day, he's going to have that energy. He's going to make sure that everything's detailed up. And I know when he does get his job, that's well deserved. That's going to be a successful franchise. So hopefully it's not in the AFC.
So as you're talking about going for another Super Bowl this year or playing for it, you can't wait to get back on the field in doing that. Competition, not just for the Super Bowl. You went up against Tom Brady. You see where he is at this point in his career. It's not the first time you've played him in of course, the playoffs. But is there a bit for you of a rivalry? Is there something in your mind where you're like, I'm chasing this guy. I want to be greater than him, better than him? Can we one day have that LeBron-Michael Jordan debate with you and Tom Brady?
I mean, it's still early for the LeBron and Michael Jordan stuff. But for me, if you're in this league, you're trying to win. You're trying to be the best player on that football field every single day. Tom's done it for a long time, and he's won a lot of Super Bowls. And so when you're coming up and you're watching football, you want to go out there and win championships like he's done. And so I'm going to try to do whatever I can every single year, put us in position that we can win a lot of championships, hopefully.
Hey, I was watching your Twitter account, and I appreciated what you put out there. You tweeted support for sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson after she was left off the team for a positive marijuana test. She will not be in the Tokyo Olympics. Many high-profile athletes shared your sentiment, wishing that she was just given the chance to run. So what sort of changes, if any, would you propose so that this type of situation can be avoided in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go into the finer things as far as the marijuana and all that different type of stuff. But I do think, I mean, the rule was in place that she was at least able to run the 4x1. And for her to be left off after all the hard work, dedication that she's put into the sport, and her to be one of those bright young stars for the USA, it's just disappointing that she got left off after she put in the work, even though she made a mistake like we all make mistakes. And in whatever way that is, to give her an extra almost ban to not let her be at the Olympics at all is pretty ridiculous to me.
Pat, I think I interviewed you 3-4 years ago about your haircut, the style in which you were wearing, and now it's 3-4 years later, you still rocking the same haircut, or are you gonna change it up a little bit this year?
Oh, I got to keep rocking it, man. We win a football game, so I got to keep that thing rolling. I did tell my fiance Brittany that at some point I can't be like 40 with the mohawk and the kid like 15 years old. So I told him at some point it's got to go.
Take the hat off, man. Let me see if it's the same.
No, you can't look at it right now, man. Not with the hat on. I'll show you a little bit of the back, but it's all matted down. Once the hat's on, it stays on.
So when you're sitting in front of some water, is that where all your golf balls are going in that water? Is that what you're trying to do? Find them balls that you're shanking?
You know, man, I'm really good at hitting it on the right spots when you miss. So, like, if I have a lot of room to the right, I just slice it to the right. So if it's to the left, I hit it to the left. I try to stay from losing golf balls. But hopefully we have a good weekend of golf. I'm out here with Coors Light. We're enjoying it, and it's going to be a lot of fun either way how the golf goes.
But Patrick, I'm twice your age, and yes, the mullet wouldn't look good now on me, so I'm sure when you reach 50, you'll probably say the same thing. I probably need to change it up. But everybody's copying the hairstyle, so you started something, no doubt about it. On the golf side of things, we've seen the match. Aaron Rodgers was playing in it earlier this week. Tom Brady as well has done it a couple of times. If you could pick a pro that you would want to take on Mickelson and Brady, who would it be?
I think the two guys that come to mind probably be Brooks Koepka or Justin Thomas. I think those are the two that I'd probably choose, and hopefully we can make that happen maybe next offseason.
All right, Patrick. So lastly here, since you're here on behalf of the American Century Championships, I got to finish this with a hard-hitting question. We have to ask, if you could give us your dream foursome to play around with, whether celebrities or PGA pros or fellow pro athletes, who are the three players Patrick Mahomes picks to join him on the golf course, and why?
First off, I would say Tiger Woods. I mean, you got to say him. He's been great for so long, and I watched him growing up. Then I would say probably Michael Jordan, just because I've heard so many stories about him on the golf course and haven't get to play with him yet. So I might lose some money, but it'd be fun to see that competitor. And then. The last one, it's probably going to be Travis Kelce, man. That dude's a great time no matter who we're with. So I think we can have a great time out there on the golf course with those four, or those three.
MJ, you better bring a duffel bag if it's MJ.
Nice of you to bring your teammate along.
Man.
Patrick,
I have to bring my credit card
much.
and, maybe have to make some payments.
Patrick, thank you so much for joining us. It's really great to hear from you.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, y'all, from one electric player to another, we're talking Odell Beckham Jr. in just a bit. Does Baker Mayfield need to force feed his star wideout, or does OBJ need to fall in line?
I'm all for taking risks and taking shots.
Imagine hypothetically that I know what I'm doing.
Former MLB pitcher CC Sabathia has released an excerpt from his upcoming book, Till the End, that addresses baseball's unwritten rules and the pressure black athletes face in baseball. Sabathia writes, "If you don't want to see someone pimp a home run, don't give it up. If you don't want to see me yelling and cussing as I walk off the mound, don't strike out. Baseball is boring too much of the time. I'm talking about the way people say, he played the game the right way, when what they mean is, he played it the white way. What they mean is, they don't like the flair that Black and Hispanic guys bring to the field. So guys, let's discuss. Keyshawn, what do you make of his comments?
Well, I think it doesn't lend itself to just baseball, but I understand where CC is coming from. There's other sports that you could apply this same thing to. Football, certain basketball cities in certain places. But I think when you talk about baseball, baseball is boring. There's no question about it. I played baseball from the Little League all the way through high school. And I understand exactly where CC is coming from. It's this, what do they call it? The America's pastime or whatever they call it in terms of baseball. They want you to do certain things a certain way. And if it's not done that way, the celebrations is problematic. Your hairstyles is problematic. What you wear is problematic. Too many gold chains, earrings, you got scarves on your head. It all stems from everything that we've been doing and dealing with for a while in society as a whole. And I totally get what CC is playing. He has firsthand knowledge of it because he played in the major leagues. He's been a part of it. He's traveled to all of these different ballparks. I'm sure he's been brought to the side or talked about being fined for some of his antics on the mound, but we see it every single day. You think about Tatis in the flipping of the bat, the jogging or trotting around the bases. That's disrespectful. He shouldn't do that. He should run like a normal. When he hits a home run, run around the bases normal. All of those sort of things. So I'm with CC 100%. It's boring as hell. This is not like 1925. No, it's not that way. We are now living in 2022. Fast forward ahead. Hell, it could be 2023. It changes, man. This is not the same as it was once before. There are different minority groups playing Major League Baseball from all over the world, from different countries, everywhere. So it'll change just like everything else. It'll just be over time. That's all it is, huh?
Now, I believe the old ways have to die. I believe that. There's a lot of things in our society where the old ways have to die. But why is this the white way? This is the old way. Because I think this is generational.
But you know why he say the white way?
Oh, I know why he says it.
Because if you go back in the history of baseball, when these rules were set, you weren't seeing no Hispanics and no minorities or no blacks playing no damn baseball.
I completely get that. Completely get it.
So he just used the words of what it is.
Let me explain why I'm saying that calling it the white way is because I guess that's when the sport was all white or predominantly white. All right, fine, if that's what you want to do. But generationally, I don't know a lot of young white fans that don't like celebrating, bat flips, anything that has anything to do with energy. Because what is the one thing we're learning about baseball is that the younger generation, they're not into it. They don't want to go to a game. My son is 19 years old. He goes to a baseball game with his friends. He says his friends can't sit still. They get 3 innings in, and what are we going to do? They go to Citi Field to see a Met game, and because the Mets have like an area where you can take batting practice, they got a long line of kids that want to take batting practice. Go see what kind of food. Let's go over to this bridge and hang out. Go over here, go over there. That's why there's a Ferris wheel in Detroit. Not because the Tigers are so bad you don't want to watch them, because the game, it just takes too long. They call it a national pastime because back then there was nothing else to do to pass the time. We didn't have these to stare at. We didn't have a lot of other things to do with our time or our attention. So it's a game that is a bit slow. So when you bring in something like a bat flip or some flair, even you want to go back in the day, Ricky Henderson just going to first base on a walk is boring. But Ricky Henderson on first base, that ain't boring. Because now it's like, watch Ricky. What's he going to do? Oh, he's dancing. Look, what's he going to do? The pitcher's sweating. The pitcher can't throw a pitch because he's paralyzed looking at Ricky Henderson. That stuff's out of the game now. We like the home run. Way too many of them.
Alan,
but the problem is the game has to change. And I think white, black, Hispanic, whoever, the next generation is begging for it, wants it.
Alan, respectfully, I understand where you're coming from, but I think by making this about attention spans of the next generation or the quality of the game, you glaze over the bigger conversation that CC Sabathia is actually having in his book, where he's talking about feeling like you're getting further penalized because of his black identity. or minority identity. And I do think that it exists in sports, in life, the policing of things that are natural to minority culture, like the celebrations, the way Black people celebrate, or the way they show their
I'm
discontent.
not glazing over it, Roz. What I'm doing
and
is
they say
saying
that's too much showing out.
I'm putting it in the past because myself, as a middle-aged white guy, I don't buy that. I don't believe in this idea of they shouldn't do that. Don't celebrate.
But
No,
that's just.
I love
but
that.
I
That's
think it's
fun,
just you,
and
Han.
we need
You're
that.
one of many different people that CC's talking about. You're only one though, so you got to remove yourself from the equation. You work in sports. You know personalities. You know my personality. You know Roz's personality. Jay Will, Stephen A. Whoever it is, right? You know us. So remove yourself from it. And then when you talk about from a generational standpoint, I can only speak to Black communities about baseball. Growing up, that was my first love, was baseball. Because I idolized the Darryl Strawberries of the world that grew up in my neighborhood, or the Chili Davises that went to my high school, or the Daryl Thomases, or the Eddie Murrays, or the Eric Davises, the Chris Browns that are all from Los Angeles. We had baseball fields in urban areas. Right now, it's all suburban. There are no baseball fields in the inner cities, especially in Los Angeles. There's soccer fields. You know, now baseball for youth in Los Angeles, probably the fourth sport: football, basketball, soccer, and then baseball, unless you go out to the suburbs. So we're not growing up playing baseball to bring our swag to the minor leagues or to college the way that we were years ago. It's not that way anymore. So CC's 100% right. And I started this whole conversation by saying it's just not in baseball. It's not in, think about it.
You're right.
I was scrutinized heavily for my sort of swag bringing in to the NFL in 1996. Hate to date myself, but that was a while ago. But think about it. I brought a whole different flair, something they never seen before. And then followed that copycats after that, I call them. Guys that tried to bring the swag and still ball out and do those things and didn't mind taking on the media. Now you look at it, it's not a problem at all. It's going to happen over time, but he's just speaking about his time in baseball. It's that old kind of...
Yeah, and it's not something first of all, I didn't say he was wrong.
No, I know.
What I'm saying is like, I looked at it as it's something that we know clearly needed to change, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that also agree with me. Needs to change that attitude of that's not something that should be in the game. No, it absolutely should be in the game.
Shouldn't be in the game.
Right? But that's what some people said. It's
crazy, though.
It was when Reggie Jackson was the straw that stirs the drink. Oh, that's bad for the game. Reggie Jackson, my first favorite player.
Well, what the hell are you
sport.
supposed to do if you're Reggie Jackson? Not stir the drink?
Be you.
These people are crazy.
Sports is a celebration. It's entertainment. We want to be entertained. We want to be inspired. And if I'm bored, I'm not entertained, and I'm not inspired.
Don't watch.
And that's why I don't watch.
Don't watch if it's boring to you. Not boring. If you don't like the antics, don't watch. If you don't like Tatis, don't watch him.
Right.
If you don't like Bryce Harper, don't watch. If you don't like Mookie Betts, don't watch. Turn the damn dial. That's what it's there for.
We want passion. Passion in a sport is great.
People are crazy.
It's interesting, too, because also in that excerpt, CC said that he felt football players and basketball players had more freedom than Black and minority baseball players did. So it was interesting to hear your thoughts that you also felt that kind of pressure. All right, guys, let's take a break here. We've got a lot coming up next. The NFC West is absolutely loaded. Some say the Rams